What if the person who treated you with the most breathtaking kindness today is actually setting the ultimate trap for your mind tomorrow? The most terrifying reality of human behavior is that genuine-looking warmth can be engineered into a psychological scalpel. When someone targets your psychological vulnerabilities, they don't use hostility. They use strategic kindness to disarm your natural defenses, making you feel completely safe right before they rewrite your boundaries. By breaking down the complex educational psychology behind these covert social dynamics, you undergo a profound human transformation, shifting from an unsuspecting target to an incredibly aware behavioral strategist. This masterclass in advanced psychological analysis is designed not to promote malice, but to provide the ultimate mental improvement, heightened awareness, and self-protection required to maintain absolute control over your own psychological sovereignty. The foundation of high-leverage behavioral manipulation always begins with strategic kindness. In educational psychology, this tactic functions as a calculated distortion of the law of reciprocity, which dictates that humans are hardwired to return a favor. When a manipulator showers you with unexpected praise, helps you with a difficult task, or provides immense support early in a relationship, it is rarely an act of pure altruism. It is a deliberate investment in psychological leverage. To apply this deeply to analyze human behavior, an individual identifies exactly what their target lacks, whether it is professional validation, emotional warmth, or physical assistance, and floods them with it. This creates a powerful unconscious debt within the target's mind. The moment the target attempts to set a boundary or question a strange behavior later on, their own brain experiences intense cognitive dissonance, forcing them to comply with requests just to maintain their image of being a grateful person. Once the target's psychological guard is completely lowered by this kindness, the manipulator initiates oversharing for sympathy. Human beings are deeply empathetic creatures, and when someone reveals an intense, deeply personal vulnerability, our natural instinct is to offer comfort and match their vulnerability. In behavioral analysis, this is weaponized as a manufactured shortcut to deep emotional intimacy. By sharing a highly traumatic, exaggerated, or entirely fabricated personal story early in an interaction, the manipulator forces a sense of profound trust that hasn't actually been earned. To utilize this dynamic effectively, you present yourself as completely raw and exposed, sharing a deep insecurity or a past betrayal. This instantly bypasses the target's natural skepticism, causing them to drop their own emotional walls and share their own deep secrets in return, secrets that can later be analyzed and used as leverage to manage their actions. This calculated vulnerability sets the perfect stage for victim reversal, a devastating tactic known in psychology as DARVO, deny, attack, and reverse victim and offender. When a manipulator is caught crossing a boundary or committing a clear wrongdoing, they do not apologize. Instead, they completely flip the script to make themselves look like the wounded party. In practice, this means that if you confront someone for lying, they will immediately focus on how your tone hurt their feelings, or how your lack of trust is a symptom of your own deep-seated issues. By executing this shift with absolute emotional intensity, you force the original victim to abandon their grievance and begin comforting the actual wrongdoer. The target becomes so confused by the rapid emotional inversion that they end up apologizing for a crime they didn't commit, leaving the manipulator entirely immune to accountability. To further destabilize the target's emotional equilibrium, the manipulator introduces the toxic stress of creating competition. Human psychology is deeply driven by scarcity and social status, meaning we naturally value things that are perceived as hard to keep or highly sought after by others. In behavioral analysis, a manipulator will subtly imply that their attention, love, or professional approval is currently being pursued by someone else. To implement this tactic on a deep level, you drop casual, unsolicited comments about how another person is constantly messaging you, or how a colleague is trying to take your position. This instantly triggers a deep evolutionary fear of abandonment and inadequacy within the target. Instead of questioning your toxic behavior, the target spirals into an anxious drive to outcompete this imaginary rival, working twice as hard to win your approval and completely abandoning their own self-respect in the process. The final, suffocating layer of this behavioral matrix involves pressuring quick decisions. Human logic and critical thinking completely collapse when the brain is deprived of time to process information. By inventing an artificial deadline, a sudden crisis, or a rapidly closing window of opportunity, the manipulator forces your nervous system into a state of high cortisol panic. To execute this dynamic, you demand an immediate, absolute answer to a highly complex question, refusing to give the other person time to consult their notes, speak with advisors, or simply sleep on the decision. Because the human brain is wired to prioritize immediate relief over long-term logic, The target will naturally default to compliance, just to make the immediate pressure and chaotic pacing disappear, signing away their autonomy before they even realize what they have lost. Deconstructing these highly sophisticated dark psychology tactics is the absolute turning point for genuine self-growth, permanent awareness, and robust self-protection. True human transformation happens the moment you realize that overwhelming kindness, sudden vulnerability, and urgent deadlines can all be meticulously designed illusions engineered to exploit your natural empathy and desire for security. When you learn to pause in the face of artificial urgency, when you recognize victim reversal for what it is, and when you refuse to participate in manufactured competition, you completely neutralize the manipulator's framework. By elevating your awareness through the lens of educational behavioral psychology, you transform your mind into an unshakable fortress, ensuring that your decisions are always entirely your own. The moment you realize that someone's urgency is just a trap for your autonomy is the exact moment you reclaim the power to make them wait.